Now then, you're wrong 'un. Let me just get this right and dandy. Don't know why, but that's looking rather. Let me just check on my. Hang on. Let's just see how it just looks a bit hazy. Like there's a filter on the camera or something. Hang on. Let's have a look. Yeah. Isn't that bizarre? Hang on a second. Let me just do that. No. That's very odd. Anyway, welcome to the Theatre of the Mind. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk. We have bits of gossip and stuff. And we'll get into it. I'm not. Is it my bloody glasses? How very bizarre. Let's have a look at if we change the lighting. The camera's ready, Mr. DeVille, but let me just see how it looks. It is quite. It's about 3 or 4 seconds behind. That should be all right. Bollocks! It'll sort itself out. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk. There's lots going on today, and I don't know how to get it into some kind of semblance of order out of chaos, but I've been saying to you for a few years that the news cycle is a bit weird at the minute. And it was a week, and then it was a couple of days, and then it was a day, and then it was less than a day, and now it's 5 minutes because they're flooding the zone with so much information that we can't keep up. Well, that's what they think. So tonight, I'll get into the parish notes in a moment, but there was some breaking news that I need you to be aware of. Whilst people are getting their cool, blimey, slow tonight. Smash the likes on the way in, yeah, wrong'uns. Just so that we can get up somewhere near 200 likes for each live, because then that changes the algorithm in our favour, seemingly. And let me, some breaking news. This information I want you to keep a hold of. Simply because it's important. I'm going to say something in just a little while, but you need to keep an eye on this, but I will explain it. Look, I'm not doing it to toy with your emotions or your intellectual abilities. I'm just saying stuff, and I keep saying to you, these lives stay there, and because they stay there, then in a year or 2 or 5 or 10 years, depending how long before I fall off my perch, you'll be able to say, "Oh, blimey, he was warning us." Because the stuff I put in here, it's in code. It has to be in code. And it's only for the intellectual to get. And that's why I believe I've got the smartest audience on YouTube. So I'm going to tell you this. Some breaking news literally just before I came on air. Keir Starmer's facing a Labour revolt. Really? No shit, Sherlock. He's out of the country. Right, lads, let's get him. Because seemingly they're talking about Sir Keir Starmer having a reverse minus touch. Is that the same as a reach around? They're saying, the Labour MPs are saying that Toxic Starmer has set the digital ID policy back 5 years. Oh, I say. I wonder why they're setting that up. I know, and I'm going to be telling you. It's a psyop, and I'm going to give you details, and I'm going to let you see through all of this. Digital ID, my hairy backside. I will explain. We're going to do stakeholder capitalism. We're going to do, oh dear Lord, I had to watch it so you didn't. But Kemi, not good enough, Marv. Obviously, she has a sense of self much better than a lot of the Tories. Oh, clap, 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 clap. We're going to talk about Manchester. Is it a psyop? We're going to talk about Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Oh, I say! And we're also going to talk about more digital ID. We'll talk about Benefer. Who's that, Adrian? Well, J-Lo and Ben Thingy. And I'm going to tell you why. Why all of a sudden they're labelling them the new Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. They're not. I'll tell you for why. Because there's not one single newspaper going to tell you this. Not one single newspaper. Not one mainstream media outlet, whether it's telly or radio or newspaper, they're not going to say anything. Nothing. She should have been in the next fucking cell to P. Diddy. Oh, I say it's showbiz, love. We're going to talk about that fucking... look, let me just get some kind of restraint on my language this evening. We're going to talk about Lenny Henry. He's about as funny as a kick in the nuts. And Charlie Kirk. So all of that's not in the mainstream media. That's what you come here for. But also, we're going to have not like a quiz as such, but we're going to talk about the top 20 children's TV shows from 60s through to 1980, 81-ish. So that will encompass most of the audience here, because most of the audience are sort of 35, 65s. Because from that age, I don't want anybody younger, or unless, they're quite mature, they're not going to get any of this, man. They're too busy off their tits on weed and PlayStation, and they don't get life because they're entitled or they're a nepo baby. So to the young'uns, there's the exit. Leave it to the adults, because that's who we are, and that's what we do, adulting. Oh, really? Let's get me thingy up. Just getting me dander up before we start. Paulie Galtieri, good evening, Adrian. You're utter wrong'un. Hope you've had a good day. Yeah, it was good to see your message earlier, Paulie. Des Ashton, Battenberg ready, altar wine ready, ears open, eyes open, mouth closed. Trying to find three wise men. You've not come to the right place, Des. You'll struggle tonight. Les Griffiths says, Des, I don't know where the other two are. That's very funny, Les. Neil Cunningham, good evening, one and all. Wasn't party conference season dull. I've had more excitement at the dentist. Kemi got not good enough. She was in Virgin White today. I don't think she's that. That's for sure. She's got kids. David Graham, evening all. Watched a great clip on YouTube of Joey Barton taking the mick out of Gary Katari Neville. It was hilarious to see. Yeah, I've seen that one, David. Yeah. Joey telling it like it is. Except sometimes telling it like it is not correct and gets him in court and has to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds in damages. Stuart says, evening, Rev, you really did give Sister Mary a scare. She's spending the sermon in the beer garden with her big dog Dick and having a few cans. I've got a little story to tell you about Sister Mary and the Austrian nuns and the Archbishop. It's all coming out today. Dear Lord, I didn't think they had it in them. But they definitely did. All three of the Austrians and Sister Mary. Now we know why she called her big dog Dick. Les Griffiths, that's actually funny. You made me burst out laughing. The wife's love eggs have hatched. If you know, you know. Hang on a second. Les, have you been sniffing the barmaid's apron today or something? Saying to David Graham, do you know anyone who wants two baby ostriches? David says, by the way, Robert Jenrick, moronic person, was right about not many white faces in Hands with Birmingham. Only problem, Rob, is someone already mentioned it back in 2008 and probably decades before. Oh, by the way, Lenny Henry wants reparations for Black Britons for alleged slavery. Lenny is a joke who is not funny. I've just said that, David. He's about as funny as a kick in the nuts. Right. David Graham actually hits the nail on the head, says, responding to Les Griffiths. David, he was Britain's first DEI. And David says, aye, Les, when he appeared on Tiswas, Black and White Minstrel Show, etc. If he didn't like white people then, why did he marry Dawn French, I wonder? Don't encourage me to be incorrigible. Terry Wookfit. Because he needs to be in something funny sometime. And Dawn French is the funniest thing Henry has been in. Lovely. I want to get to Andrew James, and then we'll get into what we need to get into, because there's some really tasty stuff tonight, and I'm not talking about what we've just been talking about. Tom Harney says, evening all, as a wrong and philosopher once said, you'll have to go and lay down in a darkened room. Oh, I say, just head down, arse up. Hopefully no one will park their bike. Where's Andrew gone? Forgive me, Andrew, because I saw it as I came. Oh, there it is. Those parishioners in the body of the Kirk so far this evening. Andrew James has said, can the Kirk pray for my wife next week? They have suspected gynae cancer. I'm so sorry to hear that, Andrew. Yes, of course. Of course. Please send our love to the Mrs. James. And I do hope that it's only suspected and everything goes well for both you and your wife. So anyone in the body of the Kirk just want to support Andrew. Right, okay. Because we are a community, and if you can support Andrew and Mrs. James, then that will be a lovely thing to do, because ultimately we're all walking each other home. Oh, Amali's not feeling very well. Evening, feeling rotten. Taking you to kitchen to make fried eggs and toast. Oh, Amalia, you're teasing us. But I do hope you're feeling well, better and well soon. Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you for supporting Andrew. So tonight, as I say, we have a lot to talk about. And it's kind of... well, let me get into what's been going on in the body of the Kirk. I don't really know how to say this, because I'm chaste. CHASTE. I am a reverend, so I don't get any, because I'm a reverend, and reverends are not supposed to get any. And neither's a bloody archbishop. He's supposed to be like, you may as well chop it off. I'm a eunuch. I'm an archbishop. Archbishops are eunuchs. Not this one. Now, I'm not going to bash the bishop at this point. Sister Mary's dog is lethal. It's a cross between a Doberman and a Rottweiler. It eats cats. Brilliant, Theo Bovril. Well, I have to tell you that there was rumours going around the body of the Kirk recently that there was something going on. I said that the 3 Austrian nuns had disappeared, and we didn't know where they disappeared to. Seemingly they were in hiding. Not that the law is going to get involved in this. It was just shagging, a technical term. But all the same, I mean, how can you kind of face Jesus' right-hand man in Rome? Not that we're affiliated with the bloody Catholics, but we're just an independent church. We stand up on our own. Kiss it first. But from what I understand, the Austrian nuns are still around somewhere. I think they might be in an Airbnb round the corner. They're not taking the punishment in the body of the Kirk. But from what I can understand, it's like a film script. So there was a nun, one of the Austrians. There was a lawyer. There was the archbishop, and seemingly 17 other women. Now, I know the archbishop went to elect the pope. I don't know whether he's touched the cloth, or maybe he had a higher calling or something, or maybe he's been prescribed little blue tablets and it's all gone a bit Pete Tone. I'm not sure. But so what must have happened, as far as I'm aware, the archbishop sent a dick pic. And I'm not talking about Sister Mary's big dog Dickus. He sent one of those. I don't know what they are. Maybe it's a Richard pic. We'll call it a Richard pic. So he sent a Richard pic, thinking it was going to one of the Austrian nuns, and it didn't. It ended up to the other side chick, the lawyer. So the lawyer's like, "Hey, Archbishop, thank you. Well, it definitely does look like that. But why are you sending it to me? I know we've had our, extracurricular, and God shone the light down on your derriere whilst thrusting like a Spanish archer's hellbow. But it also went to the Austrian nun. It also went to the 17 others that was going on, and all of the others found out that it was going on with the others, if you catch me drift. So the Archbishop, he literally legged it into the vestry where I was earlier today, and he went, Rev, got to be careful, don't believe what anybody says. I said, what, even the big lad upstairs playing the harp? Archbishop? He said, no. He said, well, I was trying to be accommodating. I was trying to just support the parish and support the parishioners. And, I try to give everybody me bishop's finger. And it seems I've gone a bit too far. Okay. It's a nice drink, Archbishop. Why wouldn't you want to give everybody the bishop's finger? And he said, I sent them a picture of it. What, the bishop's finger? He said, well, not exactly the bishop's finger. Sister Mary thought I was sending her a picture of the dog, Big Dog Dickus. And, it was quite, it was a full frame, Rev. But, if anybody says anything, just ignore them. They're lying. They're not godly. They're not like me and you. We wear, vestments and stuff to prove to everybody that we're godly. I said, well, Archbishop, I know that I'm godly. I think you may have fallen off your perch, you wrong'un. So you've been... Neil Cunningham, the bishop's hat, will be in tomorrow's Daily Mail. Yeah, Mr. Wobbly hides his hat. And Sister Mary's distraught because she thought she was the special one. The lawyer is thinking about taking legal action against the body of the kirk. And I said, we ain't shite, woman. No, that Archbishop, have a word with Rome, got nothing to do with us. You can leave the body of the kirk alone. And the Archbishop's got his head in his hands. That one, head in his hands, going, oh, Reverend, what do we do? What do we do? And I'm like, wait, what's with the we? Ish. You can stop that. So, how many was there? He says, well, there was one of the Austrian nuns. He said, there might have been two. There was the lawyer and 17 others. And you sent the dick pic, the Richard pic, the picture of the dog, Big Dog Dickus, to the wrong people. Yeah, what do you think I should do? I said, well, I think, one, you can add away and shite, and two, I think you need to go to Peru. Google it. It's real. There's an archbishop been shagging all his parishioners and a lawyer and a nun and 17 others. Women. So, it's all fair in love and war. Hang on. Yes. If you hear the story, let's see if it's in the papers tomorrow, because it's kicking off in Peru. Some archbishop has been shagging all the parishioners. And it only turned out that the archbishop got found out when he sent a dick pic, Richard pic. And everybody went, I say, Archbishop, that's definitely not your finger. No, it's not a drink. Although, Les Griffiths talk about kissing the bishop's ring. I think there was plenty of that going on, Les. Plenty of that. But unless the Peruvian mafia, they're only about 3'6", the Peruvians. So unless they've got like one of the big old boys from the Amazon, I think they may be trying to squash the story. Let's see. He's been banging everything. Yes, walk fit. Hey ho, on with the show. So. Right, what I think, we've got a couple of questions tonight around Lenny Henry, digital ID, and I'm going to ask you a really pointed question later about Charlie 19. So, let me get to what I need to get to. Jesus, where is it? Right. Sit back, pin your ears back, and stop looking about. Because you've been had, and I'm not talking in the Archbishop sense. Well, maybe. So you know that Starmer, two-tier, free-gear, queer as folk Starmer, the backdoor man, and he's only backdoor because he's taken us into Europe via the back door. He's in India. there is a curry gag there. It'll probably be as hot on the way out as it was on the way in, but seemingly he enjoys that. So I'm going to tell you categorically that digital ID is a psyop. What do you mean, Rev? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to layer it. I'm going to give you detail. And I'm going to show you how digital ID, the Brit card, is a psyop. Now, I did say to you right at the beginning, and maybe there wasn't that many in the body of the Kirk. Smash the likes, you wrong uns. We were starting and doing the parish notes. But I did say to you, and I am going to repeat it, that Keir Starmer is facing a Labour revolt. What over? Well, the MPs, the moronic persons, or moronic people if you wish, not a TV show, have said that he has a reverse Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to shite. So they're saying the MPs, because he's out of the country, the king's out of the country, we can say anything we want until he comes back home, that he set the digital ID policy back 5 years. So keep hold of that, because that bit of information is going to be the most important bit of information I'm telling you tonight. Why is that, Rev? I'm going to tell you that digital ID, the Brit card, is a psyop. So are you sitting comfortably? Good. Apparently, in order to work in the UK, we, that's me and you, will all be forced to adopt digital ID. It's mandatory, seemingly, so-called Brit card, which has been on the Labour Party website for months and months and months. So you and I know, I think the last time I looked, the petition against Brit card, or the digital ID, was standing just under 3 million signatures. So you can guess that there's absolutely no public appetite for this. So the online petition has nearly 3 million people. 3 million people who want to stop it. The MPs are getting the drift. Starmer done. Starmer, he's a bloody robot, man. Now, of course, online petitions don't make any difference to governments, but at least they do illustrate to us, that's me and you, that government propaganda, such as the Ipsos polls, that alleges that 57% of the UK public want digital ID, is absolute rollocks. So, given Ipsos and their enormous number of government contracts, who pays the ferryman, including its contract to assist in the design of the Brit card, can you see what's going on? They willingly fulfill its propaganda role, and that is quite understandable. So, proudly announcing mandatory digital ID at the Global Progress Action Summit, Keir Starmer said, and I'm quoting directly, "Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that." I'm going to repeat that because it's a direct quote, because he's talking out of his... Let me spell that out. This is Sir Keir Starmer. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Ooh! Well, it all sounds very authoritarian, don't you agree? But if we decide we're not going to adopt the Brit card, and if the UK government insists on enforcing it, the entire UK economy and the government will collapse. I'll say that again. The entire UK economy and the government will collapse. Maybe that's what they want, but they're not going to get it. So if government issues digital ID, if it's mandatory to work in the UK, and millions, perhaps tens of millions of people decide that they're not going to go along with it, then that means mass unemployment, a vanishing government, tax take, it'll disappear. and a kind of economic destruction on a cataclysmic scale. I would suggest to you that the government can be as tough as it likes. But if we do tell it to Foxtrot Oscar, there is absolutely sweet FA the government can do about it. Nothing. Nix. Nada. Nant, as the Northerners say. The government only has power whilst we comply. If we don't, it has absolutely no power whatsoever. The government is a paper tiger. We, as we are now realising, have all the power. We just have to realise it by not complying. Clearly, there is no need for a UK digital ID. In a moment of stupidity, utter stupidity, the UK Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, Lisa Nandy, told the BBC that the national ID card would be the same as a national insurance number. Talking out of her arse. Insofar as you won't be able to work without one. It didn't occur to her, that's that Lisa Nandy, it didn't occur to her that having a national insurance number is indeed a prerequisite for employment in the UK, and therefore no one needs a government digital ID. Oh, I'm not very bright. Assuming, of course, the government's claimed justification is remotely plausible. And I'm telling you now, it isn't. The government has exploited illegal immigration as an excuse to supposedly introduce digital ID. We've been talking about that. We've been talking about the illegal immigration and immigration of any kind for as long as this channel's been going. So remember, what they're telling us, all of them, and they were all standing up in the House of Commons going, oh, digital ID is required for right to work checks. And we were all watching the telly going, you're talking out your derriere. I can hear it. And I watched them on the telly. Oh, yes, we're going to have to do this. Oh, yes, we're going to have to do that. No, yeah. The thing is, we've woken up. We're not taking their bullshit anymore. We have woken up. And they can't handle it. So now the MPs, which I will get to in a second, you know what's going on, don't you? 50p sixpence, 50p sixpence. All the MPs, 50p sixpence. Oh, can I have a rent boy sent over to Paul Collar's house? 50p sixpence, 50p. Oh, you said you were going to use lube. They know they're unemployed at the next general election. It really is that simple. The power lies at the ballot box. But let me continue. As I've said before, the moronic people have said repeatedly in different ways at different times, digital ID will be required for the right to work checks to stop those with no right to be in the country from finding work. I mean, let's look at the 650 slackers in the Ozempic Palace. They've never done a day's work in their life. They're loafing, slacking, the lot of them. So this digital ID thing is to send a clear message that if you come here, fanar, illegally, you will not be able to work. Well, why should they? They're getting free money, free accommodation, free phones, free food, free everything. Why? They don't need to work. Arses. So seemingly, the Labour moronic people said that having a digital ID would deter people from making dangerous journeys. How do we in shape, man? There are a few glaring problems with this ludicrous argument. For a start, you can't get a national insurance number if you are in the UK illegally. You get that, don't you? So those that are coming across that will have digital ID, which will mean if they don't have digital ID, they can't stay in the country because they won't be able to work. Well, they won't be able to work because they don't have a national insurance number. And those that employ people illegally couldn't care less whether they have a national insurance number or not, because they just won't care if a slave labourer has a Brit card or not. No message will be sent because those who come here illegally do so knowing it is illegal. And the Brit card won't make any difference to them either. nor will trafficked illegal immigrants be deterred because they don't have a choice and the traffickers show no signs of giving up on their multi-billion-dollar industry, which, in any event, digital ID will do nothing to hinder. And in addition, if they receive leave to remain, refugees and asylum seekers can secure a national insurance number for themselves and work here legally. So all in all, the government's argument for introducing digital ID is total and utter bullshit. Now, it's obvious that tackling illegal immigration has nothing to do with the UK government's alleged hope of foisting digital ID on us all. It is equally obvious that restricting the right to work is not really the purpose of digital ID. You're getting the bullshit, aren't you? You do realise that they're just using it, and it literally that the purpose of digital ID is not restricting people's opportunities to work. So think about it. A new digital ID system or scheme will make it easier for people across the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland to use vital government services. The rollout will in time make it easier to apply for government and private sector services, such as helping renters to quickly prove their identity to landlords. They can do that anyway. Improving access to welfare and other benefits. They do that anyway. And making it easier for parents to apply for free childcare. So in time, we will supposedly need digital ID to access services like childcare, receive welfare and other benefits, and to rent a house, a home. But that's not all. We will also need it to access private sector services, such as those offered by banks. So you'll need your government-approved digital ID to buy a home, too, in time. But in short, a state-issued digital ID gives the state total control over your life. And, to a great extent, the economy. So currently, migrants given leave to stay, either permanently or temporarily, can use government-issued biometric ID, digital identity that contains biological information, to open a bank account. Stay with me, because it's going to become very obvious. Starmer's biometric Brit card and all digital ID merely extends that government-mandated privilege to the rest of us. So seemingly they're going to go after the illegals first. Do they want to try the Chinese in the sweatshops? You'll find them in the local casino. Now, Starmer is a globalist member of numerous policy think tanks, including, and these are important, the Trilateral Commission. The policy to enforce digital ID on everyone has nothing to do with his government per se. That policy emanated from the globalist think tanks like the Trilateral Commission and was set by the United Nations as, and I'm just going to give you a reference, you can Google this if you want and do your own research, Sierra Delta Golf SDG 16.9 in 2016. It's been around, this policy has been around since 2016. So Starmer and the UK government are seemingly doing what they are told. But, as I've said to you and told you for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, something doesn't quite add up. The global digital ID systems, that's Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Grand Britannia, and possibly other places in Europe. So those systems and networks that have been put into place to date do not require the issuance of any single biometric digital ID card or app. Rather, a smorgasbord of vendor-agnostic digital ID products. They can be made interoperable. And this word interoperable means that, or the interoperability of everything means that all the emergency services, it will work with them, and the government systems for varying things, as I've just laid out. It's interoperable, so it works with all of those. It also means that they can share data in a uniform, machine-readable format. So if that the United Nations policy, SDG 16.9 in 2016, if they have plans for interoperability, they will proceed as envisaged. The data from your biometric digital ID driving license, which you probably already possess. I have. I renewed mine a couple of months ago. And your biometric digital ID passport, for instance, could be linked to all of your purchases through your interoperable digital bank card. Is it becoming clear yet? It's the Chinese system writ large. You will not be able to buy your fags, your booze, or anything that they deem you've already had enough of, and you can't buy anything else because the digital bank card will not allow you. So the data from all these, I put them in quotation marks, vendor agnostic digital ID products, because they each use interoperable machine readable data exchange formats. So it means the interoperability of all the systems for government and everything that you need to do or have or be with the government and all of its systems, they will be interoperable to the advantage of the government, not you. And these interoperable machine-readable data exchange formats can then be hoovered up to the global digital ID database. It's all measurable. It's all controlled. So at present, the World Bank's ID4D, do the Google, it looks like the most likely candidate. The UN's World Bank, and I've already done deep dives previously here on these lives for you to work out what's going on. So the UN's World Bank has set the interoperability data standards, and that the digital ID database requires, and has divided them into 5 categories. I'm going to give you all of these categories, and they are major standards to facilitate the technical quality and interoperability of the ID system related to biometrics. This is worldwide. Remember, digital currencies are coming in, so they need they need this to be in place for the digital currencies to be usable and interoperable with the World Bank. The private banks, and remember I've told you, Venezuela, Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, and Hungary, they're the last private banks that the Rothschilds don't own. So keep watching what's happening with Venezuela. Get your peepers on that. Trump wants to bomb them. I wonder why. Oh, maybe he's being told. Donald. So these 5 major standards, because they need a certain level of technical quality and interoperability of each individual ID system. It relates to biometrics, which we've already got on our driving license and our passport. Cards, just the ease of use. 2D barcodes. Barcodes! I thought they went out with the Ark. Digital signatures, because I need you to prove who you are and to say who you are, and seemingly a squiggle online proves it. And most importantly, federation protocols. So each individual government needs its own protocols to look after an interoperable ID system, or BRIT card. So, for example, the Indian government, and I've already done a deep dive on this a couple of weeks ago, it's called Aadhaar. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. It is spelt Aadhaar, Aadhaar. It's a unique digital identity card or app, and it uses the ISO IEC 19794 series. and the ISO IEC 1978-5 for biometric data interchange formats. Now, I did think about, is that too much information for you? Do you really need to know that, or to see that, or for me to explain that? But the thing is, for integrity of what I'm telling you, I have to give you the data detail. And that's the only reason I've told you that. So that you can literally go and Google all of this and it will come back with information for you. So these, the two ISO references, 1979-4 and 1978-5, are approved World Bank ID4D interoperability standards. And that's really important, because even though it would be BritCard for the Brits, it would then feed into the World Bank. And who owns the World Bank? The bloody Rothschilds. So in this case, Indians' biometric data can be exported in a machine-readable format, enabling ease of import into, as I said, the UN's SDG 16.9 compliant global ID4D database. So to make it really simple for you, they're setting up the infrastructure. And the little Indians, they've got that infrastructure. And Starmer and the Labour communists, Marxists, socialists, they're setting up the infrastructure. They don't care whether you accept it or not. But stay with me, because the important bits and the important layers are coming. So in July 2022, it's called the ID 2020 Alliance, the group tasked with fulfilling SDG 16.9. They appointed a guy called Clive Smith as its new executive director. Now, Clive was the former director of global operations at the United Nations Foundation Mobile Health Alliance. So, little Clive, Smithy to his mates, said, oh, ID 2020 can play a pivotal role helping ensure blah, 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 that the appropriately interoperable solutions and related financial, legal and regulatory guardrails are in place and become the foundation of digital ID in the decades ahead. You getting it? They're trying to set up the infrastructure. Once the infrastructure is in place, there's no going back. And this has been going on since 2016. You've not been able to watch because the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. And the right hand is WEF and Davos and the Chinese. It's a communist system to control you. But you want to know why I think it's a PSYOP? Well, let me tell you. The interoperable digital infrastructure is the key to constructing our digital ID from interlinked, vendor-agnostic digital ID products. Remember I said to you, the interoperability, all of the government services is just going to be one card, and they reckon that oh, well, it's the illegals. We're going to stop the illegals. How do we end shite? So in effect, our digital ID can be manufactured by the system as we interact with it, without us having anyone designated digital ID app or card. So you don't even need to have the Brit card, but they want you to interact with it, so they get your data. So that's the point of digital ID linked product interoperability. The UK government already has an SDG 16.9 compatible biometric digital ID platform. It's called One Login. And when I renewed my driver's license, I got this One Login app on my phone. And it's only this last week, while I've been researching this, did I think, oh, you bunch of bastards, how do I end shite? That's off me phone. I don't need it. I've got me driving license, and I've got that for 10 years. So you know what they can do? Starmer might enjoy it as long as it's lubed up, but they can shove it up their arse. One Login is part of the government's digital service and provides users, me and you, with access to government services via their gov.uk digital wallets. But the system is hopelessly insecure. Obviously, it goes home at night, has a big long glass of wine and thinks, oh, I didn't do very well today. To play on the words, hopelessly insecure. And the risk of identity theft is massive. But all the digital ID systems are prone to criminal misuse. Now, before we go any further, who are the criminals? Oh, well, it's we're going to stop the boats, we're going to smash the gangs. Who's the gangs? The fucking politicians. Because everything is just about them grifting money in any way, shape or form, filling their sack and going home with it and not letting you see that they've got 2 words to explain all of that to you. Michelle Moan. She's not paying that fucking money back. And we know that there's nothing unusual with criminal misuse because the bloody Russians are really clever at it. So in India, the chairman of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, that's TRAI, decided to demonstrate that claims of digital ID security flaws were all, oh, it's the conspiracy theorists. They've got their bloody foil hat on again. So he published his Aadhaar number on what was then Twitter to prove the system was secure. And within hours, hackers had released his mobile numbers, personal Gmail and Yahoo addresses, his home address, date of birth, frequent flyer number, private photographs, not suggesting they were nefarious, bank account details, to which, for a laugh, but making their point, they sent some small payments. These politicians, chairman of the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI. Thick as fuck. Nevertheless, the interoperable digital ID infrastructure that is being installed globally means that there are no technological reasons to account for the UK government's attempt to introduce an extremely unpopular single government-issued digital ID, especially seeing as it already has a digital ID system, one login, that uses existing ID, such as driving licenses, to essentially achieve the same thing that the Brit card is supposed to deliver. So, compounding this unfathomable government strategy, the British have a long history of objecting to government-issued ID. I mean, I'm sure, and I will get to your comments in a moment once I've relayed this information to you. But there's now nearly 3 million people basically said to the government, Foxtrot Oscar. Now, to expect us to go along with it this time, I mean, it's just a folly. It's a fancy. It's nonsensical. Government-issued ID was introduced in the First World War and abolished by public demand in 1919. Obviously, you were there, so you remember. They were reintroduced shortly after the start of the Second World War and withdrawn in 1952, again due to public opposition. The Blair Labour government tried again in 2010, and though it was cost and election defeat rather than unpopularity, that saw that attempt fail. Government-issued ID was widely opposed nonetheless. The government knows that such national ID projects are extremely unpopular, and it must have been anticipated as a political backlash. Are you still with me? Not only that, a political backlash. Starmer's government decided to formally announce another government-issued ID at a time when its popularity, that's the Labour government and two-tier Keir, his popularity, not only has it gone through the floor, it's diving through the floor. It's never been lower. And notably, leading voices in the Reform Party have already taken a stance against the Brit card, as have those in the dead as a dodo Conservative Party. Nor does the announcement do anything to assuage Labour's alleged concerns about the so-called far right and its supposed leaders have also come out against the Brit card move. Right-wing folks. So there's no realistic prospect that the government is going to get people to adopt its ridiculous Brit cards, or Brit card singular. From Starmer's and the Labour government's perspective, this looks like political suicide. Don't you agree? So what's going on? Well, after its initial leaky debacle, the contract for the cybersecurity for the government's One login was given to the United States multinational Accenture, led by a woman called Julie Sweet, who sits on the board of trustees for both the World Economic Forum and the Centre for Strategic and International Studies. Accenture is partnered with Peter Thiel's Palantir, and Thiel sits on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. So, Britcard, even though it's got a lovely National Union flag on it, the company operating and running One login is on the board of the World Economic Forum, same as Tony Anthony Charles Linton Blair. Just check out Charles Linton, Bow Street Magistrates. Yo, his fizzog is quite ugly. Go and do it if you want. And then we've got Palantir. Julie Sweet, is on the board of the Centre for Strategic and International Studies, and Peter Thiel's Palantir, which hasn't made it into the lexicon of our usual language. But Peter Thiel sits on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. And how many years have I been telling you about the Bilderberg Group? Since the start of this channel. So both Accenture and Palantir are strategic partners with Larry Ellison's Oracle. Now, Ellison, like Thiel, is... Did you hear that? Bloody hell, turned into Joe Pasquale. Ellison, like Thiel, is currently highly influential within the US government. All three companies have close links to the intelligence agencies. CIA? Anyone? But Palantir and Oracle, both Palantir and Oracle, are very close. Palantir is ball deeply embedded within the UK government and its defence and health sector. So you can see why they want us to have this one card, because Palantir is going to control your arse. Bilderberg, World Economic Forum. Oh, it's a Brit card. It's got Brit at the front of it, so it must be really, really cool. Honestly, we can fly the flag. Let's strap it from that lamppost. They're going to own your arse and fuck it regularly. You getting it yet? So, if Palantir is deeply embedded in the UK with the UK government over its defence and health sector, Oracle is similarly central to the digital transformation of the UK government. Oh, I say. And as I have just relayed to you, so has Accenture. These US tech giants. Remember Starmer the Harmer, the backdoor boy, Fun Boy 3 and the Four Tops. He sat there with Trump. Trump had all the tech giants in... Was it Windsor Castle? No. It was the Prime Minister's private kind of... I can't think of the word. But Trump and Starmer sat there in front of all these tech giants, and they signed bits of paper to say, oh, all the US tech giants. Well, if they're led by people close to the centre of global power, and all of them want to see digital ID succeed in the UK, it'll be backed by the UN, SDG 16.9. And Ellison is also known to be close associate of... Oh, let's have a think. Let's have a think of that previous Prime Minister of this sceptred isle that's as evil can be. Honi soit qui mal y pense, Tony Charles Linton. Google Bow Street Magistrates. Please, I beg of you, just Google Charles Linton with a Y, Bow Street Magistrates. And then you can see what a deviant fucker he is. So if Ellison is a close associate of World Economic Forum board member Tony Blair, And reportedly, the money man behind the Tony Blair Institute, the TBI, Tony Blair Institute, has been pushing for digital ID in the UK for years, since he got into power in 1997. But what is digital ID really about for the think tanks and policy setting groups like the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg Group and the Tony Blair Institute? It's all about using the harvested data to control your life, my life, your children, and your grandchildren's lives. Lest you have any doubt, in September 2024, Ellison told the company Oracle's investors, quote, "Citizens will be on their best behavior because we are constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on." Now you know why they need AI. Had you figured that out yet? So in February this year, 2025, the Tony Blair Institute published a blueprint for what it calls the UK's National Data Library. You haven't heard this. I know you haven't, because you've never mentioned it to me. But as I've said to you, week on week, month on month, year on year, I am giving you knowledge so that you have understanding to protect you, your family, your community, but most importantly, this sceptred isle. Now, the Tony Blair Institute wants the data from all corners of our society and the economy, all public and private services, all industry, all businesses, and all of us to be stored in one unified central database. However, in order for that national data library to work, the Tony Blair Institute has previously said harmonized personal identifiers using a consistent number to refer to the same entity in different places should be introduced to improve, and it's that word again, interoperability. None of this would be possible without efforts to improve the broader data infrastructure. There you go, they're setting it all up, including efforts around interoperability and digital identity. This allows the National Data Library to focus on closing a critical gap by addressing the legal, operational, and structural barriers that prevent effective data use. Interoperability and even linkage efforts, welcome as they are, do not guarantee access or usability. We are getting to the point where I'm going to give you the answer. Please stay with me because all of this is important. If you're walking the dog, you can Google all of this, all of the data, all of the detail that I've given you. If you're catching up, then you need to do some of your own research. But this is sufficient for you to get understanding, to protect you, your family, your community, and the nation. It's not about right-wing thuggery. It's about the World Economic Forum and the Bilderberg Group are suddenly rearing their ugly head, and the Trilateral Commission. These are evil entities that basically are using you, and this is their terminology, the breeders, to do as you're bloody told. So clearly, the Tony Blair Institute, not Charles Linton, OBS, is acutely aware of the interoperability that lies at the heart of global digital transformation. And I told you 2 years ago, unique digital identifier out of the mouth of Tony Blair, and I reported it to you. I told you 2 years ago. Nobody's got hold of that yet. They haven't worked it out, which is why I'll wait 6 months for everybody else to get on the game. So the one login that I've already said to you, the GDS system, is global data system, is prepped for the completion of the necessary digital infrastructure. Digital ID is the linchpin that sets the entire system in motion. Hang on, Adrian, why did you tell us earlier that the MPs are kicking off in the House of Parliament while Starmer the Harmer's in India? Here we go. I would suggest to you it is essential to the government and its partners, Palantir, Accenture and Oracle, that we can somehow be cajoled into accepting digital ID. Now, Starmer's Brit card, or the Labour government's Brit card, is not intended to convince us to adopt digital ID. Its announcement is spectacularly ill-timed. The arguments offered to justify it are as I've said to you before, simply hogwash. They are absurd. And there is no reason to think that the British public, that's me and you, will ever buy into it. We haven't, because nearly 3,000 signatories to the petition online have told them so. You can had away and shite, and you can Foxtrot Oscar. That's what we do as English men and women, as British men and women, Scots, Welsh, Northern Ireland. We tell the MPs, hang on, you work for us. And that's the reality of the situation. That's why they're shitting themselves. So I would suggest to you, it is not unreasonable to speculate that the Brit card is a bait and switch psyop. Explain, Adrian. Okay. The Brit card has stimulated huge debate about digital ID. I'm sure Newsnight and Question Time have all covered it. And you and I can argue the pros and cons and consider if we want digital ID. And then we will either accept or reject the Brit card, imagining that it is the totality of digital ID. And the issue will be resolved. Which is why I think is the point of Brit card. So the most likely income from my observations is that anger is stoked and resentment swells, for want of better terminology. The completely unnecessary Brit card will be flung out along with the Labour government. Again. Because there's also this other insight. If they manage to get digital ID through, there is no political process anymore. They don't need for you to vote for whichever political party or candidate you want to vote for, because they've done away with the middleman or woman. And the middleman or woman in the political process is you. They're doing away with you. You'll do as you're fucking told. Oh, get out there. We need your taxes. Get out there and work. Yeah, you'll do this. You'll do that. You'll do as you're fucking told. They're going to get you out of the political process. Can't you see that? They want it all done by 2029-ish. There won't be another election. Don't you understand that? Now, people are saying that if the Brit, we're kicking off, nearly 3 people signed a petition, 3 million, and Brit card is completely unnecessary. Labour government's gone. Foxtrot Oscar. What does that mean? The door will then be open for the political saviours. And who's that? Nigel Farage and Reform, or whomever, to come to power, promising never to subject us to any more of these idiotic government-issued ID schemes. Look, it's going to come out of Farage's mouth. It's going to be policy from Reform. And I'll say it to you again. Whomever comes to power promising this, that they will never subject you and I to any more of these idiotic government ID issued schemes. However, you know this and I know that. To keep pace with the digital revolution, our digital infrastructure, our cards and our licenses will need to be upgraded to facilitate the necessary interoperability. Voila. We will then rejoice in our victory and accept digital ID without even knowing it. The Fabians, the turtle. Slowly, slowly, catchy monkey. So that's how it's going to go down. We're going to go, Halloween shite, Foxtrot Oscar, you're gone. The Labour Party, gone. We've had enough. And your idiotic schemes. But then whoever comes in to govern us, Reform probably, looking at the latest polls, they have to keep pace with the digital revolution. So they're going to say to you, look, the NHS app, the one login, you're going to need it because for Doge in America and over here, they will say, for efficiency, the government is spending far too much money on needless shite. So for efficiency, we're going to just put everything together because the infrastructure has been started since 2016, since the UN, and this is going worldwide, global. So do you get it? It doesn't matter who gets into power, they're all going to do as they're told. Because the World Economic Forum and the Bilderberg Group and all the globalists, the technocrats, they're already in control. The digital ID is the spear point. The infrastructure has been worked on for almost 10 years, and they've never told you. And they'll probably use the kids. They'll probably say, oh, well, it'll keep the kids safe. Hey, yeah, it'll keep the kids safe. But to keep pace with the digital revolution that is coming in the next 4 years, whether it's central banks or digital currencies or everything is going online, our digital infrastructure, bank cards, driving licenses, national insurance numbers, any kind of identity, it's all got to keep pace with the digital infrastructure. And they're all going to have to be upgraded. Now, as I said to you, probably right at the very beginning of this, I mentioned my driver's license. I couldn't renew my driver's license without the one digital login. One login. And I just thought, oh, God, I need to get my driving license, otherwise I can't drive. See how they're doing it? It's mission creep. That's what it is. So when we kick the Labour Party out, when we tell them to Foxtrot Oscar with the digital IDs, we will celebrate. We will celebrate as the tribe of Brits. We kicked those feckers out. We showed them. We won. Oh. Did we win? Is that victory? Yeah, let's have digital ID. Oh, it'll be easier. It will save loads of money. I won't have to pay as much tax. Oh, that bloody Reeves, the robber Reeves, she's literally taken it out of my arse at her black box. Can you see how they play the game? And they use psychologists to build all this. It's a psyop to get you and I to do what they want us to do, which is not about Britcard, it's about the infrastructure. Because if the infrastructure is in place, eventually we're going to have to accept it. And what they'll do as a psyop, they'll get you to think that we are victorious, me and you. We got rid of the Labour Party and Toxic Starmer and his Fun Boy 3 and his Coca-Cola on the train with the other French and German leaders. We think we've won. And they're sitting in the Ozempic Palace, bursting their incontinence pants laughing. So thank you for indulging me, letting you know about that, because now you know it's a psyop. It is a psyop. So I'm going to ask you a question. One, would you really smash the likes? I put a lot of effort and work into that. And you can take that. I might actually edit it and put it up as a standalone tomorrow because nobody's got that. Nobody's worked it out. And for you, my audience, I'm in service of you so that you can protect yourself, your family, your community, and this country. It's all a massive, big psyop. Bloody hell. My hibiscus is cold. So I'm going to ask you a question. You know it's 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. I'm going to ask you 2 questions in 1 question. So the first part of the question is this. Is digital ID a good thing? Real simple question. 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Nikki Watson, makes sense now. Thank you, Nikki. Amalia, thank you, Adrian. You're welcome. So I'm asking, will you accept digital ID? Everyone's saying no. So can you see, and thank you to BD Cool, Tom Harneys, Vixtex, Barry Wright, Albert Medcalf, Lauren Taylor, I see you. Thank you to everyone that's voting at the moment. Terry Wookford does say 3, depends on controls and limitations. Terry, they're going to control your ass and shag it as often as they want. And they're not even going to do the decent thing and park their bike. Stuart says, thank you, Adrian. Oh, Ian, you've missed the best bit, man. So please tell your family, tell your friends, A, about the channel, and B, about what I've just told you. It's a psyop. It's not about the Brit card. That's never going to happen. But the infrastructure is. And you will accept the infrastructure because they'll make you passports, driving licenses. NHS app is going to morph into whatever app they're going to send us. Terry says, oh, no, they won't. My arse is exit only. Newty Brown, regarding the driving license, isn't it valid until 70-year-old? Yeah, well, you get it for 10 years. But before, when we had the paper version, it was, I thought my driving license was valid until 2032. 2032? No, 2035. But now, for more money, I've got to buy a driving license every 10 years. Matthew Whedon just shared it. Thank you, Matthew. King, do you know, this is so prescient. King Treble 7 says, none of my family, friends and neighbours will listen to me. We're awake. The people watching this channel, and I would like to think I am awake. That Hurt says, I just checked my driving licence renewal just now, and I can do it at a post office for a dearer fee or prove my ID for the OneGov thing at the post office. All roads lead to the post office. Jokes. I know that Hurt, but if you do it online, I mean, I don't. So when I did mine online, it asked if, because I'd recently got my passport, and they said, do you want to use your passport photo? It's only 5 months old. And I said, yeah. There you go. 3 days later, bang, driving license at home. It was so easy, quick and convenient. But that's what the next government, who, whatever that looks like, it's going to say. Convenience and efficiency. You mark my words. Farage is watching what Musk did with Doge in America and all of those savings and efficiency. He's going to want to bring something similar, the reform Doge, if you will, and say it's for convenience and efficiency. We've got AI. I mean, at this time, the way that AI is going, within 6 months or a year, it's going to be able to do absolutely everything and scrape the data from all of the apps and online and put it in that national data library. And remember, they've been at this, and I've already given you Bilderberg, World Economic Forum, Palantir, Accenture, the Americans. Was it Checkers that Donald Trump went to see? I'm sure it was. Donald Trump went to see Starmer the Harmer at Checkers, because Trump is really worried about certain factions or certain organizations or certain countries, which I won't name here, Israel. And look, if they can take Charlie Kirk out in front of everybody and everybody's going like, I didn't say anything, didn't say anything. I've already told you and have been telling you for more than the last 2 years, because it was the second anniversary of October 7th, yesterday. I told you that Netanyahu is one of the most evil men on planet Earth. And why is that, Adrian? Because the minute he stops being a war prime minister, he's going to jail. He doesn't want to go to jail. He wants to stay in office until he falls off his perch. And I do wish him a long life and good health. But we've seen through his shenanigans. So that's why Trump is leaving Israel till last. And that's why he came here and stayed in Windsor Castle, because the king is the most guarded and protected bloodline on planet Earth. And then he went to Chequers, where he's got the Met and the army and everybody protecting the Prime Minister. He didn't go for a walkabout in Windsor. He didn't go for a walkabout down Oxford Street. He didn't. He made sure that he was protected. So I'm just going to let it land with you. I'm just going to let that stay with you. Why? Because it's important. And I hope that I've explained it in such a way, with the varying layers peeling away the veils, that you get it. That what they do is they get us angry. And it's the old boxing adage, the man that angers you controls you. And I've said to you before, when I get angry, I get, as Benjamin Disraeli once said, man can only truly act from his passions. When I'm kicking and flinging and ranting, that's from my passions. But when I mean business, I'm ice cold. And that's how I've explained it to you this evening. If you think there's anybody that needs to know this, please make them aware. I appreciate that it's about an hour and it's just me talking, but the information that I've just given you, everyone should know. And what the governments do around the world, this is not just the UK government, and this is how the World Economic Forum and Bilderberg and other groups and US tech companies can control you. They just get you angry. And the UK government, that's how they used Southport. That's how they've used the Manchester atrocities, whether it be the concert or the synagogue. And that's how they've used the demonstrations in London. Well, a rally which only had 24 arrests, with millions of people attending. So now you get the game. You understand the game. They're not doing it for your benefit. They're doing it for theirs. They're doing it for the power. And they're doing it to... It's the abuse of power, I think. And now you get it's a psyop. That wouldn't have been on your radar previously, maybe. I mean, some of the body of the Kirk understand what a psyop is, or a black swan event, as I've been telling you since December. Although some of the things could be seen as a black swan event, we've still got 3 months to go in 2025. You see, there's Amalia, again, with an observation of, I presume, Amalia, everybody else. And Amalia's just said, they really are frighteningly blinkered. I don't actually understand it. That's because people can only understand from their level of consciousness. They can only understand from their level of understanding. And as you all know, in the body of the Kirk, Theo Bovril, that is actually quite funny. And definitely not in. People are too scared. They just want things lovely and fluffy and cuddly. They're not willing to do this work. They're not willing to do the research. And look, I live in a house with very, very intelligent people, and it scares them. My family, it scares them. They want everything fluffy and cuddly and lovely and warm and fuzzy. But life's not like that. Life's stony. Life's hard and challenging and difficult. And we're meant to be here, if you want to go all spiritual, and find out who we are. Everybody in the body of the Kirk knows exactly who they are, because they're here for one reason. They're here for truth. And I really appreciate that. So Nick says, the trouble with politicians these days is they've forgotten that they're serving the people, not their own financial ends. I think it's all been corrupted, Nick. Was it power corrupts? Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. It's all been corrupted. I see you, says Amalia. It's a culture thing. Some people never leave home in their heads. My mother was like that. Her biggest worry was hanging out white laundry. Nikki Watson says, my mum too. But they were of a generation where they didn't have to. There was, I mean, I presume our parents were the generation that were around when Kennedy was shot, when the Cuban Missile Crisis, when we seemingly landed on the moon, and other things subsequently, you know, Nixon's resignation, all the big world events. They were there, part of it, and it scared them. Some of it did scare them. Mark Bryden says, thank God I lived through the 90s. What a time that was. I was just having a conversation a little earlier, Mark, talking about the 80s and how the 80s was a fantastic decade. I was around in the 70s. I loved the 70s. It was a bit weird. Men were wearing makeup in the 70s. I was like, woo, that was a bit right out there. I mean, the David Bowie putting his arm around Mick Ronson on Top of the Pops on a Thursday night. Everybody was like, oh, they're aliens. Because, and look, people thought that Alf Garnett was funny in the 70s. Mind Your Language was funny in the 70s. But we didn't. Look, there was a time when we had little red triangles in the corner of the TV screen telling us that this was going to be a mucky film. I mean, Clint Eastwood, play Misty for me. I mean, I've been there, scored the goal and got the T-shirt on a late night phone-in, and some of that is accurate. Very scarily accurate. But and Napoleon absolutely nails it. Napoleon B. When women organised and ran the home. And that's why they had to, back in the 60s, burn your bra. Come on, girls, burn your bra. Independence, man, independence. All that was just another psyop. Because the Rothschilds and the banking families and the people in power, the elite, the shadow masters, they worked out that only half of bloody society was paying taxes. So what did they have to do? Get the women to stand up. Oh, bollocks to the home, bollocks to the kids. You get out, you can be like blokes. Yeah, blokes have got it all brilliant. They've got everything. They can go out and have beer with their mates, and they can go to work and have lad banter. Girls can have girl banter. Girls can burn their bra. You don't need, the bra is a male thing. And everybody fell for it, men and women. So the shadow dwellers thought, oi, 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 we've got half of them back into work now. Brilliant. Oh, we don't need the nuclear family. 2 parents, 2 kids. Women are in work, paying taxes. Brilliant. And nobody worked it out. It was the Rothschilds were laughing themselves stupid. Because the breeders, me and you, hadn't worked it out. And I'm telling you this, I've been saying that on the radio, on commercial radio, in this country since 1989. 36 years. But I'm just a dancing rev. I'm just a ranting madman. It's like David Icke. You know why David Icke's still alive? The reptiles. Because people go, no, don't be stupid, man. And then the people in the shadow dwellers had worked out that some people weren't going to believe him because he told people that they were reptiles. You think I'm stupid? Oh, David, I'm back on again after a break watching a bit of Dan Wootton on YouTube and having a stiff drink. David, you might need to watch this again because you need to watch it in total. Karina Jane says, I was 17, 1989 was awesome. It was fantastic. I was sacked from TFM as it was. Started at Radio Tees, sacked from TFM because seemingly I had a prostitute on the radio on my phone in and was asking her all the stuff that a journalist should ask her. And I was certainly in the Sun. I was on page 5, Mr. Smut on the radio. Brilliant. Nobody died. Nick says, thank you for the enlightenment tonight, Rev, and all you wrongers need to go to work. Night all. Night, Nick. See you again on the next live. And Man the Sky says, I've been telling my bands for years about the reptiles, and that's kept David alive. Because a lot of people laughed in the 80s and the 90s. They're not laughing now. So I'm trying to work out when... yeah, exactly, David. David Icke is alive because the elites think he's mad. It's clever. Clever. BD cool. Who was page 3 that day? Well, it wasn't me. I was a bit upset. I wanted it to be page 3, so then I could always say I was on page 3 of the Sun. It didn't. I'm trying to work out whether I wanted to call it a day around 9 o'clock. Let me rattle through some of the stuff I wanted to talk to you about. I'll take a couple of things. I will save the major piece around because I will tell you this: when we do some deep dives, the next live, it's because it's so intense. I don't want the channel to become solely about really intense stuff because it's fatiguing. So I'll do some lighter stuff on the next live, and you can go back to the lives where I do the deep dives, like tonight and or Monday when I'm ranting a bit. But sort of betwixt and between, and other lives will be lighter stuff and more engaging stuff in different ways. And that's why I do it the way that I do it. It's like a radio show. It's like a late night phone-in. Because if a late night phone-in on a radio station is the same way, exactly the same way, night after night after night, you lose the audience. But thank you, Stuart. Thank you for the education. Appreciate your work. Thank you, young sir. Des Ashton says plausible deniability. Yeah, that's how the elite work. They need deniability. And if they've got deniability, or didn't know anything about that, but like the Brit card, not one of the politicians, I'll reiterate this, not one of the politicians is saying to you and telling you about the infrastructure and who's running the infrastructure and how long the infrastructure's been there and who set it up, the who, what, when, where, why. They're not telling you any of that. They're just saying, Brit cards, you're going to get it. Well, actually, you're all going on the dole. It wouldn't surprise me, and this is right out there, it wouldn't surprise me if there's 500 and odd Reform MPs at the next general election. It won't be 650. I'd love it to be, because that's a huge message to the parasitical classes. But I reckon that Farage and Reform are literally going to put the political classes to the sword, metaphorically, the political sword. I want to so I'd heard a couple of days ago, I'm going to tell you about stakeholder capitalism. Seems like a bit mouthy and a bit wordy and a bit worthy, but actually this is what they're trying to, I told you about the Brit card and the infrastructure. I don't know, we'll do it that way. The Brit card and the infrastructure behind it. They're not talking about the infrastructure. Well, what the World Economic Forum and the Bilderbergers and the UN and the World Health Organization are not talking to you about, and I've got Klaus Schwab's book called Stakeholder Capitalism, it's the agenda for the 21st century. It's a United Nations Sustainable Development. Oh, I say, is that net zero, Rev? No. Because again, these deviant feckers in the Labour government, the corrupt Labour government, and King Treble 7, The Wrecking Crew, appeared on most bands' records. The Wrecking Crew, didn't that have... It was from NWA. Was it Dr. Dre in The Wrecking Crew? Yeah, Spectacles, Testicles, Wallet and Watch. I think that was Eric Morecambe, Laird Wookfit. But the Wrecking Crew, I've got some old records by them from the 80s. I've got loads of hip-hop and stuff from the early 80s all the way through to the 90s. Anyway, you're distracting me. So the Stakeholder Capitalism, Klaus Schwab's book, mentions agenda for the 21st century and the UN's sustainable development. That's what net zero is again. And it's a psyop. Don't you get it? Do you want me to tell you this? Or do you want me to save it for Sunday and go in deeper for you? I'll kind of give you top level. Must have been a different band, Terry. So, what is the agenda for the 21st century? I'll give you the top line. It's an inventory and control plan agreed by 179 countries in 1992. So, you know, when that moron, Ed Millipede, is playing his ukulele, and we're all like, oh, here, mate, Foxtrot Oscar. He doesn't want us engaged with net zero. He doesn't. So what the UN and their sustainable development agenda for the 21st century is, it is an inventory and control plan of all land, water, minerals, plants, animals, all construction, all food, all energy, all means of production, all information. And more importantly, the control or the inventory and control of all human beings in the world. So now you can see why they need the infrastructure for digital ID and why they want it, because you've also got the UN's 2030 agenda. So they want it by then, all in place. And ask yourself the question, does it not make you wonder why all countries respond in the same way? Whether it's Canada or America or Australia or Europe, why do all countries respond exactly the same way? My advice to you is, look at Charlie 19. Look at the non-governmental organisations, the NGOs and the corporations and the governments all joining together. And basically they're going to cut out the voter. Digital ID, as I've mentioned previously, cut out the voter to do as we are told. Now, as I said, a couple of days ago, I got this rumour that Labour were thinking about scrapping the mandatory digital ID plans after the public backlash, which is why I started doing my research. Now, I'd heard rumours that were circulating in Westminster that the Labour government could be preparing to abandon its digital ID scheme following our outrage. Public resistance is growing. The moronic people, the MPs, reportedly warning Starmer that it was political suicide. And the parasitical classes, the establishment, are rattled by our refusal to comply. It's the fourth industrial revolution. But you're not part of it. AI is. Well, your name's not down, you're not coming in. Now remember, this shows the power of pressure. When the people push back, and I said to you that we'd repeatedly done that since the First World War, 1919, they tried that, and then after the Second World War, they tried that, and we told them to get stuffed. Blair tried it, and he didn't get anywhere with it. So every time the people push back, the political classes, the parasitical classes, panic. Just keep saying no to digital ID. But please remember, it's the infrastructure thereafter, not the Brit card. So I watched Kemi Not Good Enough today. She was saying stronger economy, stronger borders, and we're setting out our blueprint. She was calling it Labour's borrowing and tax doom loop. She says we're going to make 47 billion in savings. I'm saying Foxtrot Oscar, because we don't trust anything that comes out of a politician's mouth. And as I've said repeatedly for the last 3 years, how can you tell when a politician's lying? Their lips move. She was just talking shite, any shite, to get back in power. They're not interested, little cockeyed. Rich boy Sunak. He was waving about all of the drilling certificates for anybody that wanted them before he left office. He was giving contracts to his missus's father's company. And she was talking about responsibility today, opportunity tomorrow. What? To get that in the trough of money that's around Westminster. All we got from her this afternoon was slogan politics. Like, energy is growth. We are de-industrialising under Labour. We're going to look after the farmers. We're going to look after the fishing industries. And we're going to get rid of net zero. So it was just, it was dog whistle politics. But to me, it just sounded like they've rewritten MAGA. Make America great again. Make England great again. MEGA. And she pulled out one of Trump's policies. Oh, yeah, we're going to make sure that there's jobs for the Brits. There's going to be jobs. Trump's already done that. How do we end shite, man? Think of some new ideas. Oh, that's not our job. We're just politicians, so we just nick other people's ideas. I'll very quickly mention this to you. Because the digital ID is being brought in-ish for company directors. So they're saying, I think it's by the 18th of November, you have to verify who you are via either that one government login or, and people are panicking. Company directors are saying, oh, Jesus, how are we going to get around this? So they're digitizing, they've already digitized tax. They're now digitizing directors, identifying themselves. They're digitizing our health app. On the NHS app, I've got everything going back for 2 years. Every appointment, everything I mentioned, everything that I said, everything that I've been given to take, everything that I've done, all the tests, all the everything. So that's already in place. So now what they want is company directors to verify who they are. But there is a way around that. So if you're a company director, before I would suggest that you get onto your accountants, because your accountants can verify who you are. You don't have to do it. But I've got a deeper dive that I'll probably save for Sunday, because we've got until November the 18th to get the kind of message out. Want to put on your radar Virginia Roberts Giuffre, Nobody's Girl. Her book is published October 21st, so what, nearly 2 weeks. So watch the news cycle. They're controlling it to within an inch of its life at the minute. Watch it. Just sit and observe, because the answers will come to you. They're going to distract you, because the elite don't want the names in that book in the news cycle. A bit like, I don't know whether you're aware of the Israel-Hamas situation and on negotiations. And Trump said late last week to Hamas, oi, you bunch of wrong-uns, get it sorted by Sunday. You've got 50 hostages. We want them back. Send them to Israel, give them to Israel, or I'm going to bomb the shit out of you. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But it's Wednesday. Nothing's been done. So is it going to be the Iran-Israel war kicking off October 20th? So everybody forgets about Virginia Roberts Giuffre's book, Nobody's Girl? So it's not reported on in the mainstream media? So I'll give you an example. You know, Bennifer, J-Lo and Ben Affleck. In the newspapers today, remember it's Wednesday, and remember, P. Diddy was jailed on Friday. So Bennifer, J-Lo and Ben Affleck divorced earlier on in the year. Kicked her sorry ass out. We know why well, it's speculation, but I can hazard a very good educated guess. He got her gone because she was intrinsically tied to P. Diddy and the parties, and she will have known what Diddy was up to, what she was up to, and so did Bennifer, so did Ben Affleck. So I believe that they went through a divorce pending any further involvement. J-Lo, former P. Diddy's girlfriend, partner, shag piece, side piece, however you want to term it. But she wasn't involved. He was found guilty. He's been jailed for 4 years. J-Lo gets away scot-free. Didn't even have to testify. But Ben Affleck, a very wealthy boy. But within 4 or 5 days. I mean, how can they get back together? Because it would look too obvious if they were saying, well, she was with PD. Dave Johnson, yeah, he was a miserable fuck before the divorce because he knew what was coming. Everybody in Hollywood knew. That's why, I mean, where's Oprah Winfrey? Oops. I mean, we had Americans come across here to go and live in the Cotswolds for a little while until the court case was over. Shitting themselves. But now it's being reported, it's how it's being framed, that J-Lo and Ben Affleck are the new Burton and Taylor. Are they bollocks? Because they can frame it as love, unrequited love, but sometimes love goes up, sometimes love goes down, and well, it's like being Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. It's convenient, that. 4 or 5 days later, after P. Diddy's been jailed for 4 years, on Friday, the divorce, I would suggest, pending any further involvement. She's not been involved, so what's happened? Oh, hello, darling. Fancy a quickie? Kids are out at school. Who next? Hollywood? Don't believe the bullshit the newspapers are selling you. It's propaganda. In the words of the great Chinese philosopher, it's all bollocks. And don't get me started on bloody Lenny Henry. I mean, holy Jesus, he's race baiting again. He's got this book out. I'm not even going to tell you what the name of the book is. He can have away and shite. He's race baiting everybody in this country. He's turned around and said, well, yeah, let's just pluck that out of the air. Yeah, reparations, 18 trillion. And I thought, hang on. Let's just give this to Sir Lenny Henry. 1, can we have your knighthood back, mate? Because you're race baiting, you reverse racism the whole country. And secondly, you know absolutely fuck all about slavery. It was this country that stopped it. And what he's, again, psyop, what is happening and what he wants is, he wants us to get angry because it's good publicity for his book. It's the only thing he's got. Whitey, let's have a go at Whitey. Well, actually, Lenny, you're English. And we took you to our collective bosom. And you're now talking about reparations for 18 trillion. So I do look forward, because he knows fuck all about the slave trade. I do hope that he's going to get hold of the Dutch slave traders. He's going to get hold of the Belgian slave traders. He's going to get hold of the African slave traders, because the African men who were selling African men to the slave traders from Holland to send them over to America, the black slave traders in Africa, they were selling the black man to America. So I'm looking forward to young Lenny actually doing his research and finding out there's a great book called White Cargo. Because it wasn't just the black man from Africa that was sent across to America, it was the white man from here. People need to do their work. They need to do their research. And one night I'll do it all and just lay it out in front of you. Because it will make your hair curl, the bullshit that they're trying to bait us with. We stop the slave trade. Don't come to us for reparations. And what a grubby, nasty little piece of shit to use that to get his mainstream media profile up. In my view, to sell a book. How grubby is that? I told you before, I find that man as funny as an operation for piles. He's never made me laugh once. But he won't leave us alone. David Graham says, Vixtech, Saudi Arabia, of course. This is the same Lenny who appeared on the black and white minstrel show in the 1970s and then saying nout afterwards. Maybe let's deport Lenny to Jamaica. Oh, and close the Premier Inn hotels. It's just, he's not relevant anymore. He's a knight of the realm. Can't he just cough? He's not relevant. So he has to come out with what he's coming out with, just for everybody to go, oh, bloody hell, Lenny Henry. I thought he died. Oh, he's got a book out. Oh, I might go and buy that. For race baiting the people of this sceptred isle, he needs to have his knighthood taken off him. And they can. Interesting, BD. Cool. If Lenny Henry's family stayed where they were and never set foot in the UK soil, do you think he would have the bank account he has today? Interesting, Andrew. And wish you and your good lady wife well for next week. But let us know how it goes in the lives next week. Andrew says, Lenny Henry kicked a fuss in Bournemouth Pavilion over an old theatre poster. He had no problems beforehand. I bet he didn't. Amalia Grassi, very good point. What? The knighthood given to him by the Muslim king. And Terry being unusually measured, Laird Wookfit. If they wouldn't take Mandelson's knighthood, why would they take Sir Lenny of Henry? Perfect point to end this evening's lives. I did have other stuff that I wanted to talk to you about. I will keep hold of it because there's more Charlie Kirk to come out. Candace Owens is still on the case. She's said there's a dead man's switch. It's been created. So there's still stuff to have a go at. I'll save the... Thank you, Andrew. Really appreciate it. So thank you to everyone. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all your indulgence. Please do me the courtesy of just smashing the likes on the way out of the body of the Kirk this evening. I'll keep an eye on the Archbishop and those Austrian nuns and poor Sister Mary and that lawyer. I mean, I said to you, the Archbishop was away for a while. Now we know what he was up to, mucky old tart. And the next live is Sunday, usual time, 7:30. Look after yourself, be well, stay healthy. Emergency Battenberg is always good in the backpack. And my name's Adrian Allen. Remember, the Theatre of the Mind lives, they're not a show, they're a mission. And it's the mission for truth, from the pulpit of truth. See you Sunday, 7:30. Look after yourself. See you later.